28 seconds, straight ahead was a vehicle, a moving target that the driver could see the entire time. Even as dusk was approaching, there was clear visibility straight ahead, with a cart moving from approximately this point, 250 feet ahead. It was rolling forward, being pulled by a horse, and the driver was not noticing or paying attention. And in 28 seconds, this was a fatal accident.
Hello, I'm Bryan Selby, and I am the one who was in the cart with Hannah and my dad when we got struck by Kirk Overcash coming behind us. It was completely light out. You could very easily see. There was no car in front of him, and you could see him for a long time coming towards us. He did not slow down even when he struck the cart. He was still going full speed.
Hello, my name is Laura Camperman. I was driving, going from my house to the bank, and I came to about this point here in the road. This is where I saw Brian and the girls coming towards me on the carriage. The lighting conditions were fine. I could clearly see them. And little did I know that a couple of minutes later he would have that fatal accident. And I was going to be one of their last friends to see him.
Hi, my name is Rick Goggin, and today is the 19th of February, 2016. My wife Lori and I were at our home in Wilkesboro, which is just a couple of miles from here, and our pager went off. We're both members of the Moravian Falls Fire Department. Pager went off and looked at it, and it was 10 minutes of 6. We remember that vividly because my wife had a loaf of bread that was ready to come out of the oven at 6. So she looked and she said, well, 10 minutes, we'll chance it, pull it. And as soon as we heard the page come out, the audio was that it was a motor vehicle accident versus horse and buggy. And Lori and I looked at each other and knew that it had to be Brian or a member of Brian's family because we've known him for years. I'm a musician and I've played music with Brian for a long time. And anyway, we dropped what we were doing and ran, got in the car, and got there as quick as we could. When we got there, our first task assigned by the chief on scene was that we had to hunt for the horse, because the horse had gone off into a field, so they thought. And I remember looking, realizing that it wasn't quite dark yet, and matter of fact, I could see that the back of the field was getting a little harder to see. So we ran back to the vehicle and got flashlights because we knew before long we would need them. But when we first got there, we could see everything quite well without any. It was really dusk. It wasn't dark.
Kimi Hamby.
Thank you, sir. Do you believe that the accident happened before dark?
I think it was about this time of day, low limited light.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. When we got the page, it was still light.
I remember the day very well. I usually knocked off work around about 5:15, 5:20. I'd be back here at the house. And I remember my daughter Beatrice coming around the corner of the house and saying, Dad, it's Brian on the phone. She needs to talk to you. I took the call and she said, can you come? We've had an accident with a cart. First thing I did was to run over to my neighbor, Paul Vimont.
Well, Harold came and knocked on my door and said there'd been an accident. And then I was outside with Harold, and he was discussing what happened just down the road on Moravian Falls Road. And it was dusk, but it was not dark yet. And it took several minutes and talking and deciding what to do, and then I ended up taking Harold down to the accident site. And by the time we got down there, it was almost dark, but not quite. But when we were talking out here, it was not dark yet.
Paul and I kind of, spent some time there at the scene of the accident. He took me back to the house here.
By the time we left, it was dark.
When I got the call from Brianna, it was still before at dusk, if you want to call it that, or just after sunset, but still plenty of daylight.
The only legal requirement for a horse-drawn cart is the orange triangle. Actually has added 2 red reflectors, which was the case with Bryan's cart. It was very similar to this one. However, it only had 2 wheels, not 4 wheels, and the seat was a little wider. Very similar otherwise. It's to be pulled by 1 horse, which was the case at the time. It has a hitch for 1 horse, and a seat that was carrying Bryan, Brianna, and Hannah.